All right, so we can go ahead and jump in and get started. Good morning. My name is Gary Finneth. I am the marketing director here at Taylor Properties. Today we have a great, very relevant webinar, especially with today's inventory in the market. As most of us all know by now, inventory is extremely low. We have a ton of buyers, but no houses to sell them. So how do we get our buyers' offers in front of the sellers and their agents and make it an attractive offer? And what kind of tips and tricks do we have for you guys to make your offers as good as possible, so these deals are actually going through? And we've had experiences where some of our agents have had their clients submit 3 or 4 offers already this year and all have been denied. So any types of recommendations, tips, and tricks that you have, also feel free to type them up in the chat. We have Kyle Stolte today here with Heritage Financial. He has a good deck for us to give us some of his point of views coming from the lending side of what we can do as agents to make our offers as best as possible. So with that said, I'll hand it over to Kyle. Again, this meeting is going to be recorded, so if any time you need to take a call or jump off the meeting, feel free to do so. This recording will be posted onto the dashboard as well as our YouTube. So again, any questions, go ahead, feel free to jump in the chat and we'll moderate that as necessary.
Boom. How's everybody doing? I guess you guys can't talk back, so I'm not going to get an answer there, but hopefully soon we'll be in a classroom setting. And my plan is to have you have the ability to tap into this electronically or remotely, because we'll have remote viewing. But also, if you want to come in person and do these presentations and be a participant and ask questions, that's the way that I prefer to do it. If you've been here for one of my presentations before, last month, the month before, whenever, you know that there's not much back and forth. I feel, and I always say that I'm talking to myself when I do these things, because I am, but if you guys want to contribute, please say something in the chat. We can unmute you. If we want to have a conversation, just let me know. If you have any questions, or if you see something that maybe you have an experience with that you wanted to share some knowledge to your partners here at Taylor Properties. We're all friends. We're all coworkers. We're all in this together. So there's at no point in time where egos come into this. We are here to help each other. And that's what I'm going to try to do here with how to get your buyer's offer accepted in a seller's market. Share with you what I've seen. You guys deal specifically with the buyers and the clients that you have. If you're a listing agent mainly, or have been in the past, you see a lot of different offers. It gives you a little bit more of a background, a base of knowledge, if you will, for what to look at and what to look for. But if you're mainly representing buyers, you talk to your friends, you talk to your other agents, what are you doing? And it seems like we're just running into a wall. Well, on this side, we pre-approve. For me, I mean, we did 4 pre-approvals on Friday. So we see a lot of different offers come through, and a lot of different offers fall through and contracts fall through. So the reasons that the offers get accepted, we're going to go through here. And the reason they fall through, we're going to touch on as well, so you guys know what to do and what not to do. So again, if you see something that you don't like, or that you have questions about, or you have experience in, please feel free to share in the chat, ask questions, be interactive, don't be a secret agent. So let's get started here. So there's 3 important factors that can help your buyer's offer get accepted. Mainly, it starts with you. The consultation up front. This is where I find a lot of people short themselves on. They don't spend the full time up front in getting the information from the buyer, figuring out where they are, and understanding that they understand the current market that we're in and the environment. Number 2 is educating your buyer on the reality of this market. So you want to find out what they think they know, right? And then you come in and say, well, that's great and all, but here's where we really are. Or, you're actually spot on. It sounds like you've been shopping for a while. It's great to work with somebody who's as educated as you. So I'm going to reinforce what you just said and tell them the truth about what it takes to win in multi-bid situations and set their expectations properly. That is the biggest thing. You hear it all the time. Setting expectations is the most important thing you can do when it comes to giving a client good experience. And the last but not least is positioning your offer to win. And this is where I come in. And I view myself as an extension of every realtor's team that I work with. So we'll talk about that more and how I can help as a lender, or how your lender can help. If they're not doing this today, they should be doing it, and you can talk to them about doing it. If they're not willing to do it, we have spots open on my team where I can accept a few new agents, but we'll talk about that more later on in the presentation. So first and foremost, the buyer consultation. So what is their motivation level, right? How ready are they? Are they just, kicking tires, so to speak, or are they really ready to find that home and place an offer? You've seen the different, types of clients where the first house they see, they're ready to go, ham on. And then you've seen the ones where they've seen 50 and they never make an offer. So find out where their motivation is and ask again about their current market knowledge. You want to explain the local market data, and you guys have access to that within the NMLS, I believe. Us as loan officers don't have access to the NMLS, but I believe you do have access to certain data that comes out monthly, weekly, yearly, that gives you. I just saw something today that the housing market, the inventory is 29% lower than where it was a year ago, which is the largest year-to-year drop ever since they started recording these. So 29% of the housing market, it feels like 50, it feels like 75, but it's 29%, and it's a lot. So you want to explain that reality and use that data that I just used to back it up, right? And then you want to review the process for how we get our offers accepted. So what is the buyer motivation? So to win in today's market, buyers need a strong why. So this is where you want to dig in to the motivation to buy now and ask them to score themselves on a scale of 1 to 10. How motivated are you? 1 to 10. It's a very simple question. Write it down. Ask about their financial situation. Are they in touch with the lender that they trust? What do they believe is happening in the current market? And again, set their expectations, but you want to ask them, how do you think home buying works today? Because it doesn't work like it did 12 months ago, right? There's a lot of different new procedures and practices that are in place that are different than before COVID and before our pandemic shutdown started. So not only the inventory, but how we view houses electronically, through, the virtual open houses, just to get an appointment to get in there. And that doesn't even guarantee that you'll be able to place an offer, right? So again, you want to go through the buyer consultation to make sure that they know, or where they stand as far as the knowledge of the current market, of the buying process, and you'll get an idea of how good or how knowledgeable their lender is. A lender should prepare them for these things so that, you're pre-approving these people way before you ever go shopping, right? At least you should be, so that you don't waste your time. And then if you do that and they come to you with some knowledge, hey, maybe this lender is explaining to them, and now I'm just going to, reiterate, hey, this is a tough market. I'm glad that Kyle told you about, kind of where we stand and the financing points that we need to focus on to get our offer accepted. Here's where I come in, and Kyle's going to help us do this, and here's how. So to set the proper expectations and gauge motivation, you have to show them the reality of the market and not tell them, right? Because if you tell them something, it goes in one ear and out the other. Let them see for themselves. So showing the stats about the market is basically visual proof, which increases a conversion. And you want to show the sales to close percentage, show that housing prices are not being negotiated down at all right now. And you want to check for their understanding of the current market reality. Again, you want to keep your finger on the pulse there with them. You want to make sure that they know, just because you love this house and you're not willing to spend more than, X dollars doesn't mean that somebody else isn't, right? So this is a very, very basic term and a basic, I guess, concept, supply and demand, right? We all know how that works, right? If supply is high and demand is low, prices go down. If supply is down, demand is up, prices go up, right? So you want to ask them straightforward. And again, we're just reiterating this. This might seem repetitive to you, but not to them. This is the first time that they're going through this. You ask, what kind of market do you think we're in? Are we in a high demand, low inventory market, or a low demand, high inventory market? And make sure that they keep, you keep reiterating that this is not the easiest market to get an offer accepted in. And as you go through the actual houses and you start to find out what they like and what they don't like, have them voice what it is that they like and what they don't like. And then you want to use this opportunity to educate as they go and really figure out, what do you think this house will sell at based on what you saw? What do you think this house is going to list for, or I'm sorry, sell for after the list price and everything that you see? Find out, gauge what their interest is, or what they think the house will sell for, and explain to the buyer that they may not get a chance at a counter offer, so they'll need to make the first one count. So as you go through these other houses, you want to figure out how much over they're willing to spend so you can get an idea of what they're willing to spend, right? And again, it's just another point when you go back and that house actually gets sold. Hey, remember, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, that you wanted the highest that you were willing to place an offer on this house was this? Well, guess what? It sold for 20 grand more than that. It sold for 5 grand more than that. It sold for $1,000 more than that. It sold for 5 grand under that. You want to go back and show them. That way, when you tell them that they find the house that they want, and you say, look, we have to offer this in order to get an opportunity to bid on this house, they'll believe you, because you showed them the houses that they didn't want and what they sold for. And they're like, well, if that house that I didn't want sold for more, well, what's this house that I want? Of course, everybody's going to want this house that I want. What's it going to sell for then, right? They're going to see the diamond in the rough in the house that they want, and they're going to think it's worth more. So you want to go through those steps. If you're not doing that and showing them the real life examples, they're going to have a tough time believing. So the ladder strategy. If you saw that someone else bought this house for blank, would you have also paid that price for it? So this is kind of what you want to ask them when you're sitting down after, you went through a few houses, and gauge their interest and keep increasing that number in small increments until you get to a number the buyer feels like they would not care too much if they lost out on that bid, right? So you want to get their comfort level. And now you're going to start to get an idea of that. How much are they willing to spend? I mean, we live in a capitalist society and economy. So if a borrower is willing to pay for that, if the house is, all the houses in the neighborhood are selling for 150, but the buyer is willing to pay 175, well, doesn't that set the market value? It does, right? The appraisal might not come in at that. That's a different story. This is what the buyer is willing to spend for the house that's on the market. That's our economy. That's what sets the price. The appraisal will come next. And just so we all are aware, appraisers are not always looking to tell you what the house is worth based on the comps. They have to try in a purchase scenario to find that value that person is offering. If that person is willing to pay that price, the appraiser is going to do their best to find that value. And 9 times out of 10 in today's market, all I've been getting is appraisals that are coming in high. They're not coming in right at what we offer. So even when I think that we're stepping on toes, we're going a little too high, it comes in just fine. So just be aware of that. Don't let that stop you. If they can budget it, they're willing to spend the money, and I tell you, or your lender tells you they have the money to do it, it's okay, it's not putting them in a bind or a pinch, then don't worry about the other stuff. That'll, fall into place. And I know there's always, you have to go back to the negotiating table if it comes in light, but I'm telling you, I have not had that happen in the deals that we've done since COVID started, except for maybe once that I can think of. And that was a different situation. So it's not always the appraisal that comes in that you have to worry about, but just make sure that they're comfortable. But so again, back to the ladder strategy, you want to use this so that you understand where their comfort level is. So the way that you can then bring this onto yourself is you want to position your offer to be in a spot where you can win. And that starts with calling the listing agent. If you guys don't call the listing, I'm sure you guys all do. Everyone that I speak with does. But you want to talk to them before the buyer even sees the house, and you want to ask how many showings. You want to see if they've had any offers yet, all the above. That way you can get an idea of what's out there and what they have coming in. If you want to build a relationship, I had an agent who I work with, a Taylor Properties agent that I've worked with since I started here, who said to me the other day that he wouldn't let the agent off the phone. He just kept talking and talking and talking until this agent remembered his name. And he has been a wizard at getting these people to accept their offers. And I'm going to share some of the stuff that he does in this presentation. But he's been someone that I lean on when it comes to this stuff and sharing this stuff with you to help me get this information out to you guys, because I'm hearing a lot of people struggle with getting their offers accepted. So why not steal from somebody who's doing it right? So we're going to share with you some of the stuff that he does, but this is where your lender comes in. If you need to be partnered with someone who, like I said before, I see myself as an extension of that person's team. So when an offer is placed, the first thing the lender should be doing is reaching out to the listing agent immediately. Hey, this is Kyle with Heritage Financial. I'm just calling because my borrower is Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Man, we've been looking for a while, as everybody else has, but they just placed an offer. And here's the deal. They are pre-approved. And then I go into my spiel. But before that even happens, you're going to sit down with that client at the negotiating table, not even the negotiating table, when you're putting together that offer and you're trying to gauge their interest. You already know how much they're willing to spend up to for this house, because we've already done the other stuff in the beginning of this presentation, right? So you already have a good rapport with them. You know that the house is selling for 300, and that in order to get an offer accepted, you're going to have to, considered, I should say, you're going to have to be 310, 320, 315, wherever you think it's going to be. But I'm just using that as an example. So when you're going back and forth with your buyer, you're trying to tell them, hey, if we offer this, then we're going to have a good shot. And then they ask you what? Well, how much does that increase the payment to? Kyle only gave me a pre-approval or an estimate for 300,000. How much is 320 going to make my payment? Well, it's time that we start using this payment impact and understanding payment impact about in let's just say Anne Arundel County. That's what I'm using this for, $60 per 10,000 in price. So if you are going from 300 to 310, you can estimate that payment's going to go up about $60 per month. Okay, $6 per thousand, right? So, and that's just kind of the Maryland area. The different areas will have different, impacts to the payment as far as the amount goes, and we can talk about that. But Maryland in general, you can estimate about $60. If you're looking in Baltimore City, it's going to be more because property taxes are about twice as much as everywhere else. But Anne Arundel County is a good base point because Montgomery County has a little bit less in property taxes, but everyone's kind of around that Anne Arundel County property tax price. So $60 per 10,000 is a good base point to use. That way, when you're down negotiating or putting that offer together at 9 o'clock at night with your buyers, I'll be available, but you don't have to call me, because you're going to be that point of knowledge where you're going to be like, don't worry, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, look, $60 more a month. You already said that you can handle up to this amount in our conversations with Kyle. Is $60 something you think you can handle if we do offer this amount? Okay, well, what if we were to do another 10,000? Would you be able to handle another $120 a month on that payment? You would. Okay. Are you comfortable with offering that on this property? You are. Okay, well, let's move forward with this. So when that happens, what I do is I send a video text. I have a video of me explaining who I am, who I represent, and I just send it to the agent. Because let's be honest, we don't always want to spend all day on the phone. Not me, I'm saying agents. If I call a listing agent, they may have talked to 10 other loan officers, but who's sending them a video text message where they can continue to do their work and just get a video text from me? Hey, just wanted to reach out to you, say, hey, these are our buyers. They're already pre-approved. They've been run through desktop underwriter or through the underwriting system, or it's been approved by an underwriter, depending on the file that we have. And then I'll go through the pre-approval in a phone call and say, this is where they stand. They have excellent credit. They have great job history. And I'll go through all the positives. And if they have questions about the negatives, I'll be happy to divulge them. But the fact that I gave a pre-approval letter means that I'm signing my name to that letter to say this transaction is going to go through. And I'm not going to do that letter, and I'm not going to make this phone call if I don't believe in that client. So these happen with every client that I go through, whether it's somebody who is at the top of the A paper ball game. So they're a conventional loan, 20% down. Those are the easy calls to make. But the ones that are 640, 620, FHA, 3.5% down, using every paycheck to put this, they're trying their best to get into a house. I'm making those phone calls too. And it may not look like that 6 or 780 borrower with a conventional loan with 20% down. But you know what? They've worked hard every single day, haven't missed a day of work in years to try to save up this money. You don't think those agents care about that? They do. FHA loans are looked at way differently than conventional loans for some reason, right? Obviously, the borrowers have less of a credit score, or maybe for other reasons, they had to go FHA. I'll share with you an example that I just had that just closed on Friday. Girl was moving from South Carolina to Maryland. She's moved about 4 times from California, from Maryland to California to South Carolina to North Carolina to here, all within the last 4 years. Doesn't have much of a savings because of all the moving. So she had over a 700 credit score, but makes too much money to go with some of the affordable conventional programs and doesn't have enough to put 5, 10, 15% down. So we had to go FHA. We had to go that way. It was just the littlest amount out of her pocket that we could get her to help her move back here, back home, right? But the listing agent doesn't know that. They see an FHA offer next to a conventional offer, and they're like, well, I'm not going to do this FHA. There could be problems with the appraisal. The appraisals for FHA and conventional are the same. So that's false if you ever think that they're different. There are certain contingencies within FHA appraisals that need to happen, but almost all those contingencies are in conventional appraisals too, like chip and peeling paint. But with that said, I called the agent and I explained to them, this isn't a conventional buyer. We need to look at this like a conventional buyer. The reason she's going this is because she's had XYZ happen. She doesn't have the savings to put down. I will sign my name that this loan is going through, bar none. It's an easy loan. It's an FHA loan, but it's easy. And what happened? They accepted that offer because I called and explained why it was an FHA loan. So it's my job to reinforce that buyer stability, to give them the story behind who this buyer is and why we went with this loan. And then reassure the certainty of the transaction. I've done enough loans where I know where things are going to get held up and where things might, fall through. So I can explain all of the pitfalls to these agents before they ever accept an offer. And even in one of the last deals that I had, I gave them the ability to have those sellers contact me directly with any questions. So it's been something new that I'm trying out, giving a direct line of contact from the seller to me. But it's worked out, especially in this type of market where the sellers are a little bit more hands-on. All right, so that was a lot. But the main part, let's just summarize that part again. Make sure your lender is on top of their game. They're reaching out to those agents as soon as you're putting in an offer for your client so that they're the first person to talk to that agent, and then follow up again when they know the offers are due by, just to say, hey, wanted to see if you had any other questions, because you want to be top of mind. So the escalation clause is something that's been helping a lot of the deals that I'm working on get accepted. So instead of having the pressure of going into this, we have to make the right offer. We have to. It's got to be a high one. You do the escalation clause, and this is where that ladder theory comes into play. If somebody, would you be willing to pay 110, 115, 120? You figure out how much they're willing to go up on this. But we're seeing this happen a lot, these escalation clauses with the bidding wars that we're having. So if you guys don't know what this is, if you're newer to the business, an escalation clause is a real estate contract, sometimes called an escalator, that lets a home buyer say, I will pay X price for this home, but if the seller receives another offer that's higher than mine, I'm willing to increase that price to this, right? So you can find out what's the maximum amount they're willing to go without having to play this guessing game of where everyone else is coming in at. So let's go through an example here. Buyer X offers 100K for the house. In the case of a higher competing offer, Buyer X will increase the offer in increments of 2,000 above the competing offer, up to a maximum of 110,000. So if no other offers are submitted, the buyer's offer remains 100,000 for the house. But if buyer Y offers the seller 103,000, then buyer X's offer would automatically escalate to 2,000 above that. So it's to 105,000. Now, if buyer Y offers 110,000 for the home, then buyer X's offer in the escalation clause is a maximum of 110, and that would have been exceeded. So buyer Y has outbid buyer X. So it's not appropriate in all situations, but it's been applied during this and it's worked for a lot of them. So that secret agent, or the agent that I was telling you about that I use a lot, he's been using a lot of these escalation clauses to help win those deals. And it really comes in during those bidding wars, especially in those suburban areas. So you also want to make sure that you're not putting buyers into a position where they're not comfortable paying up to a certain amount just because we want to win a deal. Our paycheck's not more important than their paycheck, right? So this is my job and your lender's job to make sure that they're not overstepping. Now, I know there's guidelines that are set in place that say they can't go up to this amount because of their income or debt to income ratio. But I also have a conversation with my buyers about they shouldn't go up to this amount because of what I'm seeing. You never want somebody to step into a home and be house poor, because people have a tendency to blame everything but themselves. So if they made a decision to spend that much, they're going to look back at the professionals that they worked with. If they come into that house and they don't have the money to do the things that they need, and they find that they're eating, out of food out of cans for the first year, whatever it is, they're going to look back and say, well, they made me offer this amount. Maybe a $60 for an extra 10 grand may not seem like a lot to you or to me or to them or to whoever, but it may be everything to that person. So our consultation with that buyer is always critical. And it's my job to make sure that you know how much you can offer up to, but we also have to be on the same page about what they can afford, not what the guidelines tell them they can afford, right? So love letters. This is a highly controversial topic at this time. It has become under scrutiny with some of the fair housing concerns, and it really could open you guys up to violations. Now, Taylor Properties is going to be the end all be all when it comes to guidance on these, but they work right now. Whether you should do them or not, you want to talk with Taylor Properties, and they will give you guidance on what works. But it may be harmless to write these letters in your eyes, but they actually pose, like I said, fair housing risk. And because they contain personal information, reveal characteristics about the buyer, such as race, religion, family status, which then could be used knowingly or through unconscious bias as an unlawful bias for a seller's decision to accept or reject an offer. And that wording comes directly from the National Association of Realtors. So make sure you're educating your clients about the fair housing laws and the pitfalls of these letters. Inform your clients that you will not deliver buyer love letters, and advise others that no love letters will be accepted as a part of the MLS listing. And remind your clients that their decision to accept or reject an offer should be based on objective criteria only. So this is more of a disclosure, if you will. But for the buyer letters, if you're doing them, they work. And this guy that I work with, he sent a letter. The house was within a couple feet of another house where this person's family lived, and her nieces and nephews lived. It was very important for her to be in the vicinity of her nieces and nephews, and she shared that information with them, and they accepted an offer that was 10 grand less than the next competing offer because of the love letter. So it's going to be up to you how you guys want to use this, and it's going to be up to Taylor Properties. I'm not here to give you guidance on what's legal and what's in the best practices, but what I'm telling you is from my experience, these things have worked and worked very well. And by the way, when your lender calls, that's another time for me to just step in and say, hey, this is Courtney. Courtney wants to live here because of her nieces and nephews, and because this is such a great neighborhood, and she plans to live here for a very long time. This is her first house, and we've only offered on 2 other houses in the last year. So she very picky, and this is the one that she wants for her and her family. If there's anything that we can do to make this a stronger offer besides the escalation clause that we already put in there, please let us know. She's already been seen by an underwriter. She's already been approved. So whenever you're ready, we'll be ready too. Simple as that. Okay. So key things that make a buyer a solid choice. You want to have minimal contingencies. This is stuff you guys already know. Strong financing, get with your lender, larger down payment, offer at or above asking price with an escalation clause. So when you're speaking with your lender and they give you a pre-approval letter for FHA loan, even though that it's just as strong as a conventional loan in most cases, even though that's the case, there's still the perception that FHA is bad or VA is bad or something. That you can't change certain perceptions. But why? Why can't we do a conventional loan? If you're working with the lender that's not having that conversation with you, then it may be time to switch up with who you're working with, because I have my agents call me all the time. We need a conventional offer. Is there anything we can do? From day one, when that buyer applies, the first thing that I do is I go through their credit report and I tell them the things that they can do within the next 30 days to increase their score to get to a conventional loan. I do that with every single person, and 9 times out of 10, they'll go through. Maybe 7 times out of 10, they'll go through and do those things, and it'll increase their score, and we can get to that conventional loan credit score. But it's not always the best option. So you want to make sure that you're going through with the lender the different options so that you have minimal contingencies and you have strong financing. Sometimes they're just going to give you stuff because they're lazy. Everyone takes shortcuts, right? But you want to get with the lender that you trust, that you can have the conversation with. Maybe there's not another option other than FHA, 3.5% down, 3% seller help. Maybe that's it. Maybe your buyer is not going to be able to buy in this market because of that. Or maybe they're going to have to come down on some of the things that they want or need. But if they really want to improve their credit, they can spend the money and do that. And I'm going to give them those tools that they need to improve their credit to get to a conventional loan. That way, these stigmas that are held around the FHA loan, they don't even have to worry about. Cover letter. I don't know how many of you are doing a cover letter, but make sure that you're including that with the pre-approval. I see a lot of people that ask for, the address on the pre-approval, the correct price on the pre-approval, so that they don't want the listing agent to see that they're actually qualified for $350, but they're offering $320. I've never had that come up in a conversation. The pre-approval letter does not go part of the financing whatsoever, but if that's something that you guys think helps, I'd like to hear your thoughts after this. If you're a listing agent and you've seen somebody submit an offer with a pre-approval letter that's specific to the house versus not specific, and how that makes you guys think, and how it makes you consider that offer. But it's not something that is the most important. The most important is a cover letter, spending time on that offer, so you're not just submitting ones and moving on to the next. So the NAR has reported that in 2020, 6% of purchase contracts were terminated. So if it feels like more than that, then that may be a lender that you're working with issue. But about 6% of contracts are terminated, and you want to have that listing agent consider backup offers. So when you're talking to that listing agent, if they've already accepted an offer, ask them, hey, would you consider having a backup offer? That way, if this one falls through, you already have another one in hand. The buyer or the sellers will then feel much more confident about accepting an offer that maybe they didn't want to accept in the first place at a higher value, knowing that they have your offer sitting in the wing. Because sometimes you see, and you guys have all seen this, where these sellers will list a house and they're afraid to withdraw from that offer because they have to then list their house back on the market. And it's kind of another stigma is attached with that, right? Why is it being relisted? What was wrong with the appraisal? What was wrong with the house that it didn't go through? That's what it's looked at. It's not looked at, oh, what happened with the buyer, right? So having that second offer, have that conversation. It's a way to open the door with the listing agent. So the reasons for terminated contract in the NAR reported is last year, 28%, which is higher than normal for the buyers lost their job. And we all know what that's due to, but that was what that was the highest reason for a terminated contract last year. Financing issues are 11%, appraisal issues, another 11, inspection issues, 9, and then other would be 12%. And then that was like contingencies that were stated within the contract that fell through. Usually that's what that other category is. But mainly here, having this knowledge and telling that listing agent, hey, 28% of, or 6% of all contracts were canceled last year or terminated. Of that 6%, 28% were because of lost jobs. 11% were financing issues. 11% were appraisal issues. Do you want your sellers to have a backup offer on the table ready to go should this one fall through? Might be a good idea, right? Again, just more conversation pieces for you to get in that listing agent's ear, to have an excuse to call them, to talk to them, to get, you want to develop a good relationship. If they are comfortable with you and they're comfortable with me, guess what they're going to say when they go to their sellers and say, hey, look, this guy may be offering $5,000 more, but I never heard from that loan officer. The real estate agent just texted me, and this team has called me 4 times in the last 2 days since we've made this offer. Yes, it's $5,000 less, but it sounds like they're more hands-on and that this deal is gonna go through. So I go with this one, but this one's going to get you an extra $5,000. What do you choose? You're just going to put yourself in a better position if you have more touch points with that listing agent. So in summary, know your buyers, know what they know about the market, teach them, educate them, give them the proper expectations, back it up with data, provide them printouts. You guys have access to the NAR data. I don't, but I get it through some of the realtors. So if you guys have access to that, use it. Don't just post it on Facebook. Bring it up in real life conversations when you're talking with your clients. Build a relationship with that listing agent, have them consider their backup offers, and then team up with your lender. Again, I am an extension of your team. So I work for you, and I am here with you to help these clients get their offer accepted, because at the end of the day, you don't make your paycheck and I don't make mine unless they buy a house, right? So that should be our end goal. It should be to educate our clients, to help our clients get through this, position them in the best way possible to be accepted, to have their offer accepted, and to have the two professionals that know them best be their advocate, be in front of the listing agent, tell them why they deserve this house. So this was not a long, in-depth presentation for you guys today, just a couple good ideas to get your buyer's offer accepted. Pair with your lender. Make sure that they're doing their end of the bargain, because when we put an offer in, or when we have the contract already that comes in, that's where our job really starts, and it's a lot of work to get that to the closing. But most lenders don't see that first 5 days before the contract is accepted as their job. That's your job, but that's not the case. This is our job. Our job is to make sure that our clients get their offer accepted so it becomes their home. All right. Any questions that you guys have, you can email me as always, call me as always. My phone is always on, except right now when I'm doing presentations, it is off. So if you guys ever need anything, please make sure you reach out to me. I was planning to have somebody on at the end of this. I'll just mention about what it is. It's called the Verification Company. I plan to have him on maybe for the next month. I believe, Gary, we're doing another presentation, but he's going to talk about how you can get, if you're a property manager or you have clients that have bad credit, how you can get rent reported to credit to help turn those clients into, or to turn those prospects, I should say, into clients. So stay tuned for that. If you have questions on that or want more information on that, send me an email. It's just Kyle@heritage.com, heritagefinancial.com. But other than that, that's all I got for you guys today. So Gary, is there anything that you have that you want to add?
Awesome. Yeah. So Kyle, thank you for your time, and hopefully you're enjoying March Madness there. March Madness indeed, with the way the market is. But again, if you guys have any questions or anything like that regarding financing, or you're getting some ideas to getting your buyer's offers a little bit stronger, Kyle's definitely the one to talk to. In addition, just to wrap up this meeting, I'm actually very proud to announce that we have a new vendor partnership with Truplace. They do real estate photography and a couple other things. We actually have Colleen Smith with us. She's the director of Realtor Relations, and she kind of makes sure that everyone from Taylor Properties that's using their services is well taken care of. And she's here to introduce herself and give you a little bit more information about what packages they offer.
Hi there. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Thank you so much. I am very grateful, Gary, that you could squeeze me in today. And what we just heard from Kyle was some really great ideas. So today is full of abundance with great ideas. And we have some for you as far as your visual marketing for your property listings. As a partner with Truplace, we can bring you some very effective and innovative ways to promote your property listings using video, using 3D, using amazing photography, virtual staging, all served up on a single property website. So if you have just a couple of moments, I can give you a quick visual of what our landing page looks like, if that's okay with you here. Okay, let me see if I can do that here. And you guys see my screen okay?
Yep.
Okay, and this is what we call the exclusive landing page that Truplace, as your partner now, we're really excited for this relationship. I've got some friends with Taylor Properties, so I'm looking forward to meeting more of you, of course, hopefully in person at some point this year. But for now, we'll give you some information via a virtual context. So this is the exclusive landing page that we have made for you for Taylor Properties, and it includes your special pricing that Gary and the leadership crew there has negotiated for you. So kudos on that. You can just simply scroll down and you can click right there if you're ready to place your order, and time is of the essence. I think that's how the realtors speak. But this allows you to see what you get included when you place an order with us. We give free amenity photos. Everything has a guaranteed blue sky. It's next business day turnaround. All photos and video have clear window views as well, and it's served to you on a single property website. and we have customer service ready to help if there are any questions. But using this landing page, you can begin your order. And so what's become very popular now is folks being able to see all the juicy details about your beautiful property listings from the comfort of their sofa, right? And this is a great way for you to kind of qualify your eligible buyers to see who's going to get to come inside of the property physically. And lo and behold, we're hearing stories, I'm sure you have them, of a buyer submitting offers just from having seen visuals online, whether that be a 3D like this, a video that's either a walkthrough or a slideshow video with cinematic enhancements, or of course our signature product, the interactive floor plan tour. So you can see here, this is the TruFusion 3D tour that's very immersive, user-controlled experience. It also comes with photos because you need those. They're all DSLR quality, and your pricing is listed here. We price by bedrooms for our floor plan tours and our 3D tours. So you can see just how easy it is to manipulate the screen using your mouse or your finger. You can pinch and pull. You can move around and see all the juicy details. This is just of the outside for a quick example, but it's far better than what you grew up with as far as 3D providers. Then, of course, the difference between Truplace, TruFusion photos, and the other guys, right? There's a difference. Good news. You can delegate this to us, and you don't have to worry about buying expensive equipment or videography stuff and doing edits. You can just select a package and get it set up, and lo and behold, you're going to have amazing visuals for your marketing of your property listings. The signature package with your pricing includes our interactive floor plan tour, a virtual twilight photo like you see here, and then a 1-minute cinematic slideshow video. The premium package has the floor plan tour with some 3D spins or 360-degree views inserted, where you can really highlight some of the amenities of the property and give that innovation to the folks who are thirsty for that technical experience, right? So it's the best of both. That also comes with a virtual twilight and a 1-minute walkthrough video. And then, of course, the luxury package is gaining in popularity too. I'm sure you have found that some of your high-end properties are getting multiple offers and selling quick too. So that's excellent. Try our TruFusion 3D tour along with the floor plan tour and some 3D spins inserted, so you can reach every possible audience who might be seeking information. And then the folks who like video, if they just want to sit there and look at a short video, then we have that in there as well. 2 virtual twilights and 2 virtual staging. Virtual staging is a very practical way to help buyers understand how they can live in the property and see themselves there without having to spend a lot of money and time bringing furniture into the property. See how beautiful that is? And you can do just 1 room, right? It's a great price, $50 per photo for an unfinished room. You get 2 free edits included, and you can just put a little disclaimer on your marketing that says this room or this property was virtually staged. And don't forget, we have drone for folks who have beautiful outdoor amenities that need to be highlighted, or large acreage or estate stuff. We've got the drone that we can offer you as well. So please do take a look at this link that I believe Gary can send to you. If you need it, just let us know. If you've got questions, you can certainly let us know, but you can begin placing your order here right on this landing page by plugging in the necessary information about you and about the property and what items you wish to order, and then a preferred date and time, how we will access the property, whether you, the agent, will be on site or the lockbox. And then we do have our COVID policies in place, so we need you to review those and adhere to them. It just simply states that we won't have a bunch of people at the house when the photographer shows up for the photo shoot. And submit your request, and then you'll get it next business day. So I'm so excited to do more business together. And certainly I'm here for you. If you have questions or feedback, you can reach me, but I cannot schedule anything for you. So our customer service team is more than happy to help you with that part if you need to reach them, or you can certainly begin your order here with the landing page. So I will stop and give the screen right to Gary, and thank everybody, and see if there are any quick questions that I can try to answer for you. How'd I do?
Great. Thanks, Colleen.
Thank you.
Yeah, again, just to recap, very excited to establish a new partnership with Truplace. A lot of our agents actually already use them, but now we get some additional packages and some reduced pricing for you guys, and we know what the quality of the photos are like, so very happy to be doing it with you guys. Yeah, that should do it for today's meeting. We'll be sending out a recap email with information for Kyle as Colleen. We're also going to have a link to the replay of this webinar, just in case you guys missed any of it or need to go back to review anything. And again, those will be emailed to you. They'll be on your agent dashboard and also on our YouTube page. But thank you again, everyone, for your time, and look forward to the next meeting. Take care.
Thank you.